All right, so firm slabs, right? We talked about firm slabs being different and being firmer. Imagine. So here I just cut this off of my firm slab and you can see how it holds, right? There's no droopage, there's no movement, yet it hasn't changed color and, well, it doesn't quite leave fingerprints. So I know that I'm firm, or leather hard, right? Leather hard and nice and firm. So this, creates some different building. When I built the fish, right, I was dealing with soft slabs, and consequently I was able to put the curvature in and whatnot. Now I'm going to build just a rectangular box. So nice and easy. You'll want to use firm slabs if you want to build things that are kind of architectural, right? That are straight edged. I think of firm slabs as being a little bit more like plywood, and I'm just going to go ahead and mark these edges. Mark that edge, because I've got my patterns. This one says cut 4, this one says cut 2. I could cut 6 of these and make a square, right? Or I can cut 4 and 2 and then make a rectangular form. So, and I just like to be able to make a lot of the cuts just as one long kind of cut. I know I forgot something. I forgot a straight edge. That wasn't very smart. Oh well, I can do it this way too. But one way would be to now I've got my marks now, just cut with a straight edge, but because I forgot to bring one over and I don't want to waste you guys' time, I'm just going to go ahead and use my nice little rectangle form here. So I'm going to cut through, bring that down. I'm going to not stop my knife. I'm just going to move this down to those edges. There we go. And a little more. Come on, stay on there now. Using a piece of paper that's a little bit stiffer than just copy paper is kind of nice as far as getting nice clean cuts. Again, sound effects really do help. There we go. And different from working with soft slabs, right? You want to cut these as accurately as you can because you don't have that advantage of being able to bend them or fold them or squish them because they're firm slabs, much like a hunk of plywood. This is probably the technique that I personally use the least, but it's a great technique for different things. Kind of like that. That was a very realistic break in the action there. All right, so there is one side of my rectangular form. Now I'm gonna cut another rectangle out of this. So there I've got 2 rectangles. Easy schmeezy. And again, we're kind of doing that that construction paper thing, trying to get as much as we can out of each slab. This will be 3 and 4. Instead of marking it, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. And I hate to stop my knife, but I did. There we go. Carry that through. Make sure I've got the right length. Yeah, if you cut these too short, you're gonna run into trouble. Okay, so the issue with firm slabs that sometimes complicates things is that, right, if you screw up your cuts and you don't get everything that you need out of one slab, then you have to make another slab and then you have to wait for it to be firm. So also when you're drying a slab for firm slabs, like let's say you're gonna roll out your slabs and you're gonna come back the next day to cut them, again, we have to remember that clay shrinks. A slab of clay will shrink more on the exposed surface than it does on the undersurface. So the top of this will dry faster than the underside. That very often leads to curling when things dry. So if you're going to make a firm slab and then come back the next day, you don't want to leave the top uncovered. Best way to leave it for a firm slab to firm up is to put this on a wear board, newspaper, then put newspaper on top and another wear board on top. No plastic. That way it will firm up, but it will firm up evenly. You won't get one surface that curls. Another way is to use drywall, and I've got a bunch of drywall stored up above the lockers. But drywall is just, it's this material that construction people use to make walls. But it's always very flat, which is great, and it absorbs a little bit of moisture, not a ton. But so again, you could put a slab on your drywall and then just put another piece of drywall over it. You don't need to put any newspaper, any of that. So, two great strategies for making firm slabs. Okay, now I'm going to make my two base pieces, or my end pieces. So I'm just going to go across, but again, I'm going to go across instead of stopping and recutting. I'm making sure that I'm lined up with the base. Cut across, and one more time, cut across. You can do this with math if you want to, or you can just repeat a shape, then you don't have to do the math. Right? It could be like, measuring with a ruler to cut 2-inch squares over and over again, or you can just cut a pattern, and I just find that's a lot easier. There we go. I'm also going to, again, because of that, the resting time of a firm slab, I'm just going to cut these out, and I'm going to cut one extra of each. I'm going to cut one extra square, one extra rectangle. If I can, if I have enough clay. I might not have enough clay. Then I'm going to cut an extra rectangle because I'm pretty sure that my squares are dead on. Yep, I don't have enough clay for both, so there we go. And you'll notice that I didn't cut right up to any edges, right? And here too, right? Like I do have enough clay for an extra square, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut that. But yeah, you wanna stay away from the edges with both soft slabs and firm slabs, because they're not gonna be as consistent as the rest of the cut. Notice I kept my blade straight up and down. Okay, so I've got an extra rectangle piece, got an extra square piece. Boom, boom. Gonna clear out the scraps. Again, I'm not trying to bring those together. These can go straight to Raoul. Feed Raoul. Okay, so now to turn this into a box, I'm going to cut at that 45-degree angle again. And I'll just do 2 walls so that you guys don't have to sit here and watch me cut 45s all day long. But there's actually a tool that both Michael Sherrill makes, which is Mud Tools, also Kentucky Mud Works makes them, but it's like a little wire that's cut to a 45-degree angle so that you can do this super consistently. So if going forward, if you know you love working with firm slabs, that's a tool that's maybe worth getting. I just kind of enjoy cutting at 45, so I don't have that tool. All right, same thing on the long sides. I'm gonna take and cut 45. Now, your angles change if you're doing a non-square, right? If you're doing like a triangle, then that's gonna be a different angle, not a 45. You don't have quite as much wiggle room when you're dealing with firm slabs. So getting those angles just right is more important. But most of you are doing things where you'll use soft slabs. There we go. Okay, so now I've got 2 of the rectangles cut and 1 of the squares, which is great. So now you can see that when these go together, right, that'll make a nicely mitered corner where both edges come to the edge. Slip and score those together, and then this little guy will come onto the end and should fit perfectly. How about if I move that this way? There you go. So these are, of course, leather hard, and I'm going to use regular class slip. We also have the option of the Martha Grover slip that is sitting over on the common shelves as well. If you're worried about the firmness of your slabs, if you think you've maybe gone a little too far, like they're a little too firm, then definitely use the Martha Grover slip. I haven't had much trouble using this kind of slip, but if you want to use Martha Grover, feel free. What Martha Grover does is it cuts down the shrinkage, and it also binds a little bit stronger because of the vinegar and the paper that's in it. So you're of course welcome to use that. But I'm just going to put these together real quick. I'm going to score both surfaces, right? And this is kind of different than when we deal with coils. When we deal with coils, we only need to score one surface. When we're dealing with the slabs, we want to score both surfaces just to increase the amount of tooth. But I am only going to slip one of the surfaces, and then the slip will come through to the other surface, no problem. Again, I'm tapping really lightly because I don't want to flatten out my scoring by pushing too hard with my slip. All right. And for this, I'll stand them up so it's a little easier to see, I think, but getting those together. See how I've got that slip squishing out? That's a great sign. And I feel like that's a good enough seam that I'm not going to add another coil. I could, but I'm not going to. There we go. And this will hold itself up because it's a firm slab, which is kind of nice. I'm going to put now 2 more together to make the other wall. I'm not going to just add one here and then add the other there. I'm going to put 2 together so that it kind of self-stands, so that it's a little bit more self-supporting. Last thing I will do is put the ends on, because then I can shave, I can trim if I need to before I put those ends on. But I'll come back with the finished result shortly. All right, have fun, guys.